I've been sitting at this desk for about a week short of 8 months producing online college. What an experience. What a stretch for me though. Oh man, 2 hours a day of teaching and then producing all that video. But learned a lot. But I tell you what, I just want to push away and get back, because right out there is my garage, my cherry red project. And yeah, I'm so excited about being able to kind of relaunch and get going on it again. Oh man, I haven't been in here for what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe a couple of days, 3 weeks ago. Can't even remember what I was doing in here. Been a long time, and it's kind of like you got to start all over again. You got to figure out where you're at. Oh, I was buying tarps because I'm tarping this whole thing, the garage, to cover up all the tools and the storage stuff to get ready for sandblasting this body of Mr. Cherry Red. And yeah, and I went and bought some more tarps and threw them in here and got called for lunch, and I think that was it. And the fenders fell down somehow, middle of the night. And looks like I forgot to sweep the floor. Well, I never finished anything. I just, like I say, got called in and that was it. So pick up the pieces now and get going. So let me swing around here and let's have a look at the car. Look at, there it is waiting for us. Good job to sandblast this. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this cleaned up. Wow. Now that I come and look at it, I did a pretty nice job on most of this stuff. And a lot done too. Look at, fenders are all ready to go. Yeah, so the only piece missing on here really at this point is these rocker panels, and we'll get them done when we get this body welded to the Cadillac. Yeah, I want to get those done. It just seems like there's a big piece missing, right? Like, so how excited are you about the projects that are in your backyard? You know, we got to just kickstart ourselves sometimes, get rejuvenated. Yeah, a cup of tea, and and get out here and say, you know what? I'm going to get into this again. I don't like it. I don't know about you, but I love doing something like just continuing to do it until I get it done and then go on to something else. I don't like switching between jobs. It's like, you know, my wife says, honey, can you hang the picture? And I'm like, oh, I got to go out to the garage and get the screwdriver and the drill and all that level and all that kind of stuff. Can we do it next summer? And we'll hang all the pictures. You just get them all ready and I'll come in and hang them all. I don't know what it is. I find it harder to start than I do to keep going. Because I think you know that you're not going to stop until you get it done somehow. You can't just leave stuff half finished. So I'm looking forward to somehow getting a good kick in the pants and get rejuvenated and get this thing fired up again. And the truth is, you know, it's only going to take a few minutes, right? You get back out here, sweep the floor, pick up some tools, hang up the rest of this tarp, and then grab the sandblaster and, you know, yeah, away you go. Like in no time, I'll be right into. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward. You know, sandblasting makes some really good video because there's stuff flying everywhere, smoke and lights and sparks and stuff, and gagging and coughing. But the problem is you can wreck your camera really easy. So I'll use a cheap lens and maybe put something over it so that I don't get dust in the camera. That's the worst thing for cameras. Well, besides water. And then we're going to just give her on this thing. Going to be so much fun to get some sandblasting done, get it all cleaned off, get all the cracks cleaned out. The big areas, I'll probably just leave them and probably sand them with some kind of, I don't know, air sander or something. Because you don't want to blast the big panels with the sandblaster too much, especially if you overheat them, because you can start warping stuff. Like nothing's warped now, right? There's no warpage in here. But anyway, I'm going to be able to fill these then a little bit, get some of the things finished off, see how they're starting to look. I think it's going to be beautiful, actually. I really think it is, because the foundation I've got on here, stuff is really come straight. I had trouble getting this one straight, but I had enough banging and heating and stuff, and it's got a straight line along here now. I don't know why this one was such a problem. But that's that first one where I blew it by trying to do it all in one piece, right? And then I traced it, and it had so much Bondo and rust in here that I traced it, and the line was crooked. So the new piece was crooked, no different than the old piece. So I had to cut it up and then redo some parts of it. Yeah, so looking forward to that. And then, you know what? Spring has sprung. I should actually have the doors open in here, let a little bit of the spring in. But I'm really looking forward. In fact, it's just getting itchy to do some traveling. I think we're going to throw some clothes and some cameras in the old 29 Dodge sedan and head across southern British Columbia through the Kootenays, visit family and visit friends as we go, and just do some relaxed time. It's been intense, you know. It's been an intense winter. I know that a lot of guys have had, you know, guys especially lost their jobs or whatever, unemployed. They're just kind of beside themselves with nothing to do. But then others have just been so stinking crazy busy, and that's the way our life has been. I've been editing video till 10 o'clock every night and getting up. I mean, this morning we were up at 4 o'clock getting ready to have a Zoom meeting with a bunch of our leaders across the nations. And, you know, I think I should actually go have a little sleep right now. It's mid-afternoon. I've got a belly full of curry and rice, making me a little lethargic. I sure don't feel like working right on this project right now, but I'm going to when I get started. Maybe I should just have a cup of tea. You like tea? One of my favorite teas, and I find it sometimes in Canada, and that's Dilma. It's from Sri Lanka. And I know I've tried a lot of teas. There's some great teas. You know, you kind of go around the world drinking tea, right? And Cameron Highlands in Malaysia has some great tea, and India has some great tea, a lot of these countries. But Sri Lanka, I don't know, there's just something about it. I just love it. But I've had Ethiopian tea, man, that, I tell you, I'd love to get some more of that. That is so good. And every country has their stuff, you know, but I really love that Sri Lankan tea. Went right up to the very top of Sri Lanka to the tea plantations. And you have tea up there, you know, in a Scottish-built 5-star hotel that still has the same furniture today. And you walk in there and it's guys with white, you know, napkins over their arm, and they serve you tea with rock sugar and boiled milk, and oh yeah. And then in India, of course, it's the chai tea, and that's always good. We love going for chai tea. That's just a real treat. And small cups, small little cups, but that's all you need, because that stuff is potent. But yeah, tea does something for the soul, doesn't it? It's just really a relaxing thing. And I don't know if coffee does that or not. I've never drank coffee because I just never liked it. Well, I think my grandma tried to force me to drink it when I was a little kid, and yeah, it was so bitter. And I don't even like anything with coffee in it, cake or cookies or anything. They should not have coffee in them. But there's some other great things too. That green tea, the matcha green tea, man, that stuff is so good. I actually gave up chocolate in favor of matcha green tea. And so in Asia, you have the green tea ice cream, which is really, really good. In fact, Dairy Queen, you know how I think in Canada they'll have like a vanilla fountain and a chocolate fountain. In Asia, they'll have a vanilla fountain and a green tea fountain for green tea ice cream, soft ice cream. It's really good. But one more thing, besides having a good cup of tea, and it's great because my wife brings me a cup of tea out every once in a while. You know, I just really appreciate that. And she's usually got a couple of cookies with it because she's such a good cook. And yeah, living in the lap of luxury, you know, high on the hog, I don't know, whatever it is. And it's neat to just stop and think, you know, because today's Good Friday. Easter's coming in 2 days. And in fact, you might be watching this on Easter or whatever, or maybe after Easter. But it's just really great to be thankful, isn't it? Just to have a thankful attitude about all of the goodness and in this crazy world. You think about the world, you know, it's a pretty scary place, really. The agendas and you know, manipulations and the lies and the stuff that goes on and the divisiveness and all of that kind of stuff, and the rising and falling of nations and governments and societies and cultures. You kind of wonder, like, where do we end, right? But you know what? There's a way through all of that I've found, because we've been doing this for, you know, 40, 50 years now, whatever. And just can't help but be thankful, really, really thankful about the great family that we've got. And, our kids are just so awesome and so wonderful, so supportive of my wife and I, and such a blessing. And as well as all of the great friends that we have around, that just, they encourage. I'm actually surprised about this. I was in a leaders meeting of pastors and leaders for Southern Alberta last week, and the lead pastor there, the regional overseer, he says, right in the middle of this meeting, he tells everybody, you need to go on car cobbler and watch Al fix cars. And I'm like, what? How does this have to? Everybody's writing down. What's that name? Car cobbler. Okay. I mean, it's really cool. Honestly, I'm a little concerned that people wouldn't understand my hobby. Do you ever feel like that? Like people don't really understand your hobby? Like, why would you do that? It doesn't sound like fun. For most people, laying under a car on your back, welding and sparks going down your neck does not sound like fun. But for some of us, it's like, yeah, that's food for us. But that thankfulness is really what makes a difference in you know what? If you're a thankful person, people like to be around you. If you're a thankful person, you'll have lots of friends. If you're a thankful person, you'll actually have a lot of influence. And young people will want to be around you because they'll want to, emulate you, right? They want to follow you. They want to be mentored by you. And that's the fun we've been having for the last 8 months with the online college courses is just a bunch of young people that are just so gung-ho to succeed in their lives and in their callings and their talents and giftings, and to recognize that and to be thankful for them. And they feel that thankfulness and they like it, and they want to be around you. That's a treat. Honestly, that's a real treat, because there are some grumpy old guys nobody wants to be around. You know how to change that? Just be thankful instead of critical. And it works every time. Thankfulness will get you into some amazing places. Being critical will keep you out of places. It'll keep you out of opportunities. It'll keep you out of things that you could have but you won't have. But thankfulness, on the other hand, just opens a tremendous door for all kinds of wonderful things to happen and wonderful things to break loose. So that's the one more thing. Okay, be thankful, and be thankful for what you've got, and be thankful for Easter too. Really, I mean, if it wasn't for that, and you think about kingdoms rising and falling, and yet 2,000 years ago when Christ died on the cross, and 3 days later he rose again, that's more relevant today than it ever was. And in fact, that's really the issue, isn't it? Is you've got this claim that this man died on a cross and rose from the dead. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is that true? And I remember a guy one time years ago told me, he said that right now, today, there's a man in heaven, like a physical man. And I'm like, what? That just makes no sense. And he said, yeah, Jesus rose from the dead and he went up to be seated on the right hand of the Father. And I'm like, that got me thinking, I tell you what, because what it does is it demands a response from us. And so you can't know that and just say, whatever, that's a 2,000-year-old religion. No. And the issue is, and I did a lot of, back in my younger years, did a lot of pursuing, Buddhism and Eastern religions and those kind of things. And they all make their claim to peace and good behavior and all of that kind of stuff, but they don't empower you to do those things. But then when I heard about Christ, this guy who had died and rose from the dead, I'm like, okay, that's different than everything else. Nobody else has a Savior who rose from the dead, right? But Jesus did. He rose from the dead. Unless you don't want to believe that, and then, okay, well, whatever. But at least you have to decide, are you going to believe it or not believe it? You can't just leave it alone. Which we try to do, except for Christmas and Easter, right? And go to church, right? And that's the reason, because we can't leave it alone. We've got to respond somehow. So that's the thing that I'm absolutely most wonderfully thankful for, is that there is a purpose for being born in this earth and a purpose for living. And you can be on one side or the other. We can be part of the downfall of societies and governments and nations, or we can be part of the uplifting of people. And that's the whole goal for me, is to take that thankfulness and to deliver it to others and just say, you know what? It doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to be stuck in your poverty. You don't have to be stuck in your torment. You don't have to be stuck in your worry and your fear. You don't have to be stuck in any of that. You can just have a new heart, and it can be a thankful heart. And it's an empowering heart, because that's what we were made for. We were just made for that. And so that's, well, there you go. There's my Easter message for you. See you next time on Car Cobbler.